Oh, yeah! You know what time it is. That's right, it's time for the Eddie and Webby Podcast! Yo, I'ma bust out some theme song action for you. Check it out. The Eddie and Webby Show is fun for all. We drink craft beer and mostly talk about pickleball. So if you didn't know, now you know. 'Cause it's time for the Eddie and Webby Show.
On today's episode, Eddie and Webby play their American Idol audition tapes. This is the Eddie and Webby Podcast.
Hiya! Hiya! Oh, hey, how's it going? This is Webby, not Eddie.
And I'm Eddie, and this is our 90th podcast.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot this is milestone episode number 90. I don't have any cake. I don't have any balloons. I don't have any of that stuff. Eddie, you go ahead and start the show without me. I'm going to go get some party supplies. I'll be back as soon as I can.
What? Seriously? Okay, I guess Webby is leaving me all by myself. Thanks for that, Webby. I appreciate the heads up on that. But yes, this is Milestone Podcast number 90, and I'm super excited. We are live. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. And we are live on Twitch. And if you have any questions or comments for our guest tonight, or for me, but you're probably going to want to ask our guest, go ahead and throw them in the comments. As I mentioned, this is meant to be interactive, and we'll be bringing them up throughout the show this evening. I got to tell you, though, I'm really excited to be able to hang out with our guest tonight. As we've mentioned before, we're changing up the format here of the podcast a little bit. This is going to be much less structured, more conversational. We're going to have a little bit less content, like media, pictures, and things like that. But tonight we're going to have a few. So we no longer are going to have Twitter comments. Twitter is out the door for the time being. Let us know what you think. Seriously, guys, we want to make sure this is a podcast that everybody in the pickleball world enjoys. So if you like that stuff, let us know. Say, bring it back. Otherwise, we're going to keep on going in the direction that we are going. So, as I mentioned, this is milestone episode number 90. And our guest tonight, well, let me tell you something, guys. Our guest tonight, she is absolutely no stranger to the pickleball scene, but has recently made a ton of noise and disruption in the pickleball world by dominating and earning her spot as the MVP of Major League Pickleball's season number 1. Without further ado, please welcome to the show, Lee Whitwell. Lee, what is going on?
Hey, thanks for having me on this show. I'm bummed that it's not like 100th episode where I get like balloons and like confetti. It's only 90, but I'll take it.
Well, Webby ran out to go find some of that stuff. And again, it's deservedly so, because right now you are pretty much what everybody in the pickleball world is talking about. And I want to get into that a little bit, but we always like to make sure that this conversation is nice and loose and relaxed. And so the best way to do that is to obviously enjoy a beverage. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. There's no other way.
Well, what are you going to be enjoying tonight?
I am actually enjoying a Cayman Jack's margarita. And, it might be my first one. It might be my 10th one. We'll find out as the podcast goes on.
We'll never know. And who knows? There might be 10 more after that, too. You just never know.
What are you drinking, sir?
Well, I think I'm going to start off with a High Noon vodka and soda, black cherry flavor. When I was up in Michigan back in September, I had one of these for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. And so I'm going to take a little break from beer, which I normally do recently on the podcast, and enjoy this evening. But I'm sure there'll be at least one more after this, right?
Absolutely. We are friends, right?
We are friends, yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
And technically, Lee, this is not your first time on the podcast. You made a brief appearance at our live podcast from Parent Brewing Company back in 2019 at the Beer City Open pre-party. Do you remember that?
I vaguely remember Michelle Escobar and Rob Cassidy hijacking me and making me sit down and have a chat. What we talked about, I honestly have no clue. I will say that it was a blonde moment and not alcohol related.
Okay. All right. We'll go with that.
Fair, right?
I love it. Well, as I mentioned before, you were just the all-star of Major League Pickleball season number 1, which I want to get into a little bit here in a minute. But for those of you guys that don't know, Major League Pickleball was a concept that was thought up by, was it Steve Kuhn and who else was it that was involved? I know there were a bunch of people, but
it was Steve Kuhn, Brooks Wiley, Jenny Klitsch, and Melly Price, I believe, were the 4 core people. And they obviously had a full team behind them, but I think they were the 4 core initial into bringing this brainchild to life.
Well, I'm glad that they did, because it was very entertaining from a spectator's perspective. And then there were 6 teams total. Is that right?
No, 8 teams.
8 teams.
8 teams, 4 players in each team.
Okay. And there was a draft and everything like that. So talk about the draft a little bit. What was that like? What was going through your head? Like, it was fun to watch, but I'm curious to see what your perspective is.
Yeah, I actually was very reluctant to watch the draft because I had this thought that I wasn't going to get drafted. And as the women's picks getting into the teens, it was more like, oh, well, this was fun. I got a photo shoot out of it. I'm not going to get drafted, and ended up being number 15th pick on the women's team. So I was very honored that Kaya Yates, AJ Kohler, and Anna Lee put their faith and thought that I was strong enough to represent Team Chimeras. John Sperling was also advising behind the scenes. So, it all kind of came together at the number 15th pick, which I'm extremely grateful for.
Yeah, I mean, that, first of all, to be in the top 15 of all women pickleball players, I think is quite an accomplishment. And then to be part of that event, I'm sure was pretty awesome as well, huh?
Oh, it was an incredible wild ride. I think I'm still on this high of what happened last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, rather, at Major League Pickleball. It was a phenomenal event. I think they nailed it. They got everything right. And I'm excited. And I think everybody that was a part of it is excited for the future of pickleball.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely set the stage from a number of things. Production value. One of the things I really enjoyed from a spectator perspective is that I got to see some partnerships that I don't think we would have seen if we would have just followed a normal kind of like tournament style type of event, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, would you and Anna Lee ever have played together in a tournament scene? What did you think about all that and seeing the partnerships out there that you probably wouldn't have seen before?
No, I think when in the team selection, it was interesting because you were going to see new partnerships, and unless Lee, as in Lee Waters, ever got injured, I don't think Anna Lee would ever be calling me. So it was a fun opportunity. Sorry, it's the truth. But it was a fun opportunity to play with Anna Lee because she's phenomenal and so fierce and competitive. And I think we complemented each other really well. And that's one of the things I think when selecting teams that our team did particularly well is looking at partnerships and who would complement each other stylistically on the court, even though, on paper it looked like, oh, maybe not. But when you look at styles, it really worked and it clicked. And for 4 days, we came together and kicked ass.
Yeah, there was obviously an energy that your team had that I saw that was unique to your team. And I don't really know how to describe it, but when you guys were out there on the court, it was engaging. It was there was almost this unspeakable bond that I saw you guys having, and I thought maybe it was because of the fact that you kind of represented different styles of play, came from different parts of pickleball, as you grew in your pickleball career. Do you have any more insight into that? Like, what was it about Team Chimeras that kind of made you guys special?
Well, I think it was a couple of things, but the main factor was all our personalities blended really well. And then also coming into this event, we were a D- rated team. And Kyle Yates and I were publicly rated as bus picks. Yeah. So, that was sort of a team bonding. If there's any incentive, that was it. And we were going to come together and be like, we're D-. Well, okay, let's give them an A+ performance.
So what? Obviously, like I would disagree with that assessment of both of you guys, but why do you think that happened, or why do you think that feeling was out there?
I think that for me personally, I am the oldest pickleball player out there on the pro tour right now by quite a few years. So I think that played into a factor. And also I think Kyle, unfortunately, has had a bad rap on some certain things, and, he's had a few losses, but I think he's worked hard on his game, and he definitely proved himself, and it showed. And we all, I think we all grew during, the absence of pickleball, which was COVID, and our team was lucky enough to come together and perform at a great level and sustain that level for 4 days.
That's cool. I also have to imagine too, the chemistry of the team is important, and obviously you had 4 very different personalities out there, and we have a comment here from, I believe it's Selena Borden, says Lee creates an incredible fun atmosphere wherever she is. I personally believe it. All of my interactions with you have always been a freaking blast. You're always a good time. And I personally, when I'm on the pickleball court with a partner, I really like that style of, hey, we're serious about it, but let's not take ourselves too seriously. Let's have some fun with this. Let's be witty and sarcastic. And it seems like that kind of is your style. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's, the word pickle is in our sport. It's pickleball. We play with a plastic ball. I mean, I love the sport of pickleball. I'm addicted to pickleball, but the name sort of puts it in perspective for everybody. And, our goal right into that. And AJ and I played mixed together before. Mm-hmm. Kyle and Annalie had played mixed together for a long time. So from a mixed personality, we knew that we had 2 good mixed doubles teams to represent. And then we figured we could figure out the doubles. But at the end of the day, our goal going in there was like, we can go 0-7, but we're going to make every fan that's watching us love us and embrace us and enjoy pickleball and want to go out there and enjoy pickleball because they had fun watching us. And that was our goal throughout the whole competition. The win was secondary to that. So, well, and I hope that came through.
It totally did. And here's the thing too, is that, and I've talked about this in the podcast before, my wife, she has her master's degree in sports psychology. And so just being with her for as long as I have, I've picked up on a few things. And one of the things she always says is, if you focus too much on whether you win or lose, you're focusing on something that a lot of times you don't have any control over. So all you can do is focus on playing as well as you can. And if you're going to be out there, you might as well enjoy it and have fun with it. And so it seems like maybe that mentality that you instilled on the team could have led to the success. Do you think that that's possible?
Yeah, I think that's something we were all in agreement on. It's like we were going to be out there to have fun. Because at the end of the day, when you win or lose, who else cares? There's how many millions of people in the world that don't know about pickleball yet? They don't care whether you win or lose. It's you can win and have the worst time out there, and that was never our goal. We wanted to go out there and represent us, play our hearts out, engage the crowd, and at the end of the day, we can walk away knowing that we left everything out there and walk away with a smile on our faces as a team, because we all came together and gave it our all.
That's cool. Talk about the format, right? So it was for each, you'd play against another team, and you would have a men's doubles match, a women's doubles match, and 2 mixed doubles matches, and then a singles tiebreaker at the end if you guys split 2-2. And that singles tiebreaker was rally scoring, and everybody played 4 points, and you would rotate through the lineup. Is that right?
Correct. So what happened was that when they gave the toss, so you picked sides, either sides, receive, serve, or defer. So let's say we pick serve. For all 4 matches, singles, doubles, and mixed doubles, you'd serve. So that determined the lineup for all 4 matches. But then the other thing about that was you could ask to see their mixed lineup first or their singles lineup first. So a lot of times we chose their singles lineup so that we could see if it went to a tiebreaker, who would match up against who. So we could put our best lineup against their singles lineup and take our chances on the mixed.
Okay, so I want to make sure I understand. So you could either choose to serve, receive, or see the other team's lineup, right?
No. You could choose serve, side, receive, right, or defer, which no one defers. So
right.
Serve, side, receive. So let's say you and I are on a team and we choose serve, right? We won the toss, so we chose serve, and by winning the toss, we also chose the ability to see our opponent's mixed lineup or singles lineup.
Okay.
It was one or the other.
Okay. And did you pick one or the other at different times throughout the event?
Yeah, it was based on, a lot of times it was based on the team we were playing. Sometimes we picked singles and sometimes we picked mixed.
Okay. And how many times did you guys end up going to a singles tiebreaker?
Way too many, if you ask me. I think we ended up going, I think 3 out of our 7 matches, so less than 50%, but that was 3 too many in my eyes.
Okay.
Even though singles was my shining moment, but it was way too many.
Well, we're gonna get to that here in a second because I agree it was a huge shining moment. When you were up against Team Clean, I think that was who you were up against. Were you part of the first singles tiebreaker that happened for the entire event, or was there one that happened?
I believe so.
Okay,
I do think we were.
I thought so too, and so because when it happened, it was a little bit hard to follow at first on the live stream. After like 5 or 6 points, we kind of got the feel of it, but it was rally scoring and everybody was rotating. So and I think the commentators did a good job of explaining it, but I think they were also still like figuring it out as they were explaining it too. So it took a minute, but I thought that was awesome. It was so cool to see that as just like another form of competitive play, outside of your typical, men's doubles, mixed doubles, singles, something like that. It was a cool addition to it. What were your thoughts before going into your first singles tiebreaker?
What I can say publicly and not say publicly. It was more like, oh God, we have to play singles. And understanding that I was on a team with 3 people who have played singles quite a bit. I play singles under duress and against my better judgment. So it was more of a, okay, here we go. Let's see what we can do. And my goal was anytime I got on the court to play singles, I'm like, okay, let's get to 1-3 instead of being 4-0 down. That was my one goal, was 1 point. I didn't care how I got it. And I was banking on them making a mistake than me having to hit a shot.
Okay. Well.
I'm like, please miss the serve or please miss the return. It was that rudimentary, my thought process of like, and then they did. And I'm like, oh crap, now I've got to play a point. Let's close our eyes and, dot our I's, cross our T's and hit the ball and like, see what happens.
Well, it ended up working out pretty well for you. Now let's talk about strategy-wise, going into your first singles tiebreaker. What made you guys think of the lineup that you did against your opponents? Was there a lot of thought and strategy put into it, or how did it end up? How did the matchups end up working themselves out like that?
So I believe we chose to see their singles lineup first, if I recall, and Deckel was their number 1 singles player. And we were chatting, and immediately I said, throw me in as a sacrificial lamb. I'm like, let me try to get 1 point against Deckel. I knew I had faith in Kyle, I had faith in Annalie, I had faith in AJ. So no matter who we lined up, I figured we could grab points and make up for my deficit, so long as I could get 1 point against Deckel. I was kind of doing this math and figuring out, I'm like, we can get to 15 before them if I can get 1 point in each rotation against Deckel. So that was the thought process. So I was originally the sacrificial lamb.
Yes,
and
originally,
self-appointed sacrificial lamb.
Well, that definitely didn't last long, and I actually have a little clip here that I want to play, and this is from your first interaction with Deckel during the singles tiebreaker. And big thank you to Major League Pickleball. I reached out to them and they gave us permission to play these clips. So thank you guys so much for letting us do this. let's just go ahead and play it.
All right.
Kyle, AJ,
Point.
and Lee.
Let's go, Deckle.
Lee
Grind.
Whitwell.
Keep grinding,
Not
buddy.
known for her singles
on, Lee.
prowess, but looking
1-0.
to maybe cause an upset here. That shot will go down in history.
Hey, come on.
So
Again.
matchups like this,
Do it again.
Morgan,
Lee, your
if she
score's
can
one.
just go half and half.
Oh, yeah, she'll
That's
be
huge.
very happy
Look at that.
to,
Look at that
to go
roll.
2-2 here. But
Come
based on that
on.
forehand cross court,
Deckle, I'm sorry.
Deckle hasn't played singles in a while.
Oh, just can't get to it.
Yeah, great angle
Side
there
out.
from the big man.
You know, of course, who the crowd is going to be pulling for in moments like this.
Oh yeah, you gotta go for the underdog.
This score's 2.
2-1 here.
2-1.
Callie Smith warming up. She'll be
Point.
next for Team Clean.
Go. Rotate.
So obviously, I was watching that live, and when you hit that shot on Deckle, I jumped off the couch and was like, "Oh my God, what in the heck just happened?" You have this monster of a man, Deckle Bar, incredible singles player, 12 feet tall, wingspan that covers the entire court, and you rip that winner against him. What was that like? You like, I just want to know how you felt at that moment.
Are you dangling that Carol? Is that carrot out there right now? I said Carol, but I meant carrot. Are you
I know what
dangling
you're
that carrot?
saying.
You are.
Yeah, tell me about all
You
the
are.
things that were inside of you that you just that needed to come out at that moment.
I can't believe I'm going to go this way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So needless to say, I was extremely nervous playing against Deckle because he is a beast. I mean, he he straddles that center line and he can reach either sideline. So when I ripped that passing shot, I was so excited. I may or I may not have, and we cannot prove this. May have peed myself a little bit out of pure excitement and nerves, and and you totally baited me into that.
Yeah, I did. Yep. And
Yeah,
you
you did.
just admitted it to the world, the millions of people watching right now.
You know, thank you. So yes, depends if you're listening. Hey, I'm your market right now.
Well, you know what? You do live in Florida, so that also would be a good fit for the adult undergarment market. So if they're looking to get into pickleball, I think we have your first pro that
Yeah.
you can talk to right there.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yep. I appreciate it.
I'm not sure how we can recover.
Well, but I know we made a joke about that and everything. But thank you for sharing that. But seriously though, like what the look on your face during that play, you almost seemed like shocked. But and I know that you're a humble person and obviously like you don't take yourself too seriously, but there was this genuine look of surprise on your face of like, holy crap, did I just rip that shot against Deckle? Was that real? Is that how you felt?
Oh my God, yes. And then, so I ended up being 3-1 down. So I did my job. I got that 1 point, and it was surprising that I passed him. But then in the second rotation, I ripped, I think, 3 passing shots by him. And at one point I ripped a backhand shot, and I looked at Morgan and I went, what the hell was that? You know, I was like, I cannot believe this is happening. So from the one stand, from where it was just like, I'm just trying to survive out there, to holy crap, I'm in a position to put our team ahead. Like, it was this mental switch of going from surviving and I mean, honestly, against Deckle, I was like, I just don't want to look like a fool. I don't want to fall. I don't want to whiff the ball. And I just don't want to get blasted off the court. Right. And it went from that to, holy moly, like, I've passed him legitimately.
Mm-hmm. What
is going on? Let's just try to ride this wave and get through my 4 points as fast as I can. And let's try to stay ahead so that somebody else can, I can tag out and somebody else can come in and keep going. But it was an insane ride. And it was, I don't ever expect to past Eckel again. Anytime I see him on a singles court, I understand where I'm at compared to him, and I'm thankful he made me look good.
Well, I don't think he made you look good. I think you 100% earned it. Your shots were incredible. And you brought up the fact that you had, you were looking at Morgan and you said, what the hell was that? You guys were mic'd up during the event. Talk to me about that, because I can imagine that changes things a little bit from what you're going to say, jokes you might crack, words that might be offensive to certain people that you might hold back on. I know when I get on the court, I have no problem dropping an F-bomb here and there. So did that change things? Talk about that a little bit.
I think the first match that we went out there, so it was Annalie and I was very conscious of the fact that I was mic'd up. And I'm like, please don't drop an F-bomb. You're alone. You're mic'd up. It's like my mother's watching. What is she going to say? I'm going to hear about it if I drop an F-bomb. And I didn't drop an F-bomb, but I did say, oh my God, you big loser. Your mother would have made that shot. And she did hear that. I think at one point, Annalie looked at me and we won this incredible rally. And she's like, did you see me trip over my feet? And then I'm like, have you been drinking? And then in the replay, you hear Morgan going, did Lee ask Annalie if she'd been drinking? And I was like, oh, I forgot I was mic'd up. So that part of that banter. And I think it was fun for the people watching to hear that banter and to hear the back and forth communication and strategy or whatnot. But yes, I think we were all very conscious, at least in the first match. Yeah. I think as matches went on, we forgot we were mic'd up. It just became something that was there. And I know I dropped a couple of F-bombs and other players did too. And then all of a sudden, we're apologizing into the microphone for dropping an F-bomb. But I took it to a different level. And after an F-bomb, I'm like, oh shit, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh crap, I did it again. And then it was this diatribe of apologies and expletives with apologies. And I'm like, well, I should just stop.
Right. That's when you're like,
yeah.
I got to quit while I'm ahead.
I'm like, if I had my own mute button, it would be better.
I got to tell you what though, when MLP started, I'll be honest, I was like, what is this? What are we doing here? What's the whole point of this? As a spectator, everybody was kind of just like easing into it, but I feel like people were just trying to figure it out. And I was really skeptical at first. I was like, man, this could bust. It really could. But then within a couple hours, I'm like, oh my God, I get it. I see what this is for. I see what this is about. I understand it. And I thought that you guys being mic'd up added an element to the game that I thoroughly enjoyed as a spectator. I know that I'm in a unique position because I'm a spectator, but I have a lot of relationships with the pros and things like that. And I feel like I know a lot of people out there that are playing. So putting myself in the shoes of maybe somebody who's new to the sport or kind of knows a little bit of the pro scene, but not, that must have been incredible for them to hear the conversations, the strategy, the stuff that was being said between points. Have you heard any other feedback about that specifically when it comes to the live mics?
Oh, for people watching online, it was phenomenal. The feedback we've gotten has been fantastic. The people that were watching live felt a little shortchanged because they didn't hear the mic'd up commentary because that was just for the live stream.
Yeah.
So they felt a little cheated, and they were like, there was a couple of things that happened that they weren't privy to. But at the end of the day, the energy that the people in the stadium created was absolutely electrifying, and it was fun, and you couldn't help but just rise to the occasion because they were rooting for you. Whether they were rooting for you or not, they were rooting for you. The energy was palpable, and everybody was, they were celebrating your victories. They were commiserating your losses, and they were just wanting to be a part of it. And it came through. And I think that was the first time that Pickleball actually cracked that nut of figuring out the online buy-in, where people were completely bought into the mic'd up, the conversations, the strategies, who's doing what is the conversation that's happened, plus on the live stream, being there live, on the electrifying energy and creating this buzz and this hum, and everyone was just genuinely excited point by point by point. I mean, even in the middle of the point, you'd hear people, ooh, ah, oh my God. And it's like, and you're still trying to play the point, and yeah, we can tune it all out, but you can still hear them. And they were very heavily invested into the outcome of what was going on every second of every match, which was phenomenal.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. By the way, Lee, you're getting a lot of love on social media here, so I feel like I definitely want to bring up some questions and comments before we move on to the next thing here. There was a comment from Chad saying, "Were there threats of fines if you cussed on camera?" Did anybody talk to you about that at all?
Absolutely. Whatever money I made, I had to pay out in fines. No, I'm kidding.
Good question though. I appreciate
Yes.
that.
No, we
Question
we were warned about it. Sorry, we were warned about it. But you can't. In the heat of the moment, things happen.
Okay. Yeah. Right. I mean, it's live TV. Things happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Dana Stidham Joseph says, "Love our Lee Whitwell pickleball. Ask her about her signature move. She is the best. APP Tour, so blessed to have her on our team." I feel like there's a lot to unpack from that comment here. So
that's a loaded statement from Dana Joseph,
right.
And God love her.
So signature move. What are we talking about here?
I had been partnered up with a player a while ago, and I didn't know who this partner was, and I was told she was a good player. And I'm a lefty; she was a righty, and we fought over the middle a lot, and apparently me taking the middle was getting in the way of her signature windmill move. That windmill move probably ended up hitting me in the head several times with the paddle. So, so Dana likes my impersonation of that signature move.
Okay.
But I'd like to say my signature move is more of an Ernie or around the post on the court.
Okay. Well, you definitely... I see you doing those quite a bit, so that's pretty funny. And then the APP Tour, so blessed to have her on our team.
Yes, Ken Herman. I'm not sure if he's a genius or a fool for this, but I am heading to a little bit of both, maybe. Yeah. But we love him, and he selected me to be a co-tournament director for the Next Gen APP tournament in San Antonio at Chicken and Pickle next week. So I'll be heading there Wednesday and be running the tournament and imparting my wit and wisdom and hopefully limited cuss words on the next generation of pickleball.
We need to take those cuss words and just scale them back a little bit, right?
Maybe make them mom appropriate.
That's so funny. We have a quick update from Webby. He said, "Ugh, I'm stuck in a traffic jam. I hope to be able to make it back soon." We hope you can make it back as well.
Yes, because he promised me cake.
Yeah. What the heck? Balloons and a lot of stuff.
Right. And it's like, come on. I'm like, I came on with the promise of cake and balloons.
That's
so,
it.
Webby, come on, deliver.
Got to hurry back, buddy. We have one from Belinda Detman, Lady G, Queen of the Ernie. Lee's performance was off the charts, playing with AJ at the SoCal Classic. Amazing.
That was sort of my breakout summer, I think. With I played Vivian, and I think Vivian and I took third, and AJ and I took silver in that tournament. And all of a sudden, everyone was like, "Who's Lee Whitwell? Why is she here? She's old. She can hit a ball." I'm like, "Yeah, but I play with young people, so it helps."
I mean, 28's not that old. Come on.
I know. Thank you for that.
Yep. We have a comment and question here from Paul H. He said, "Lee, I'm a huge fan. You were so articulate. What is your optimum number of Cayman Jacks before you experience diminishing returns?"
Paul, it depends how many you're going to buy me.
That's good. That's true. So I guess, Paul, yeah, we got to see how many.
I did play Paul earlier today, and I think he's still a little salty that we won. So maybe he should have bought more Cayman Jacks. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said, of course, her relocation has helped. Her Florida relocation has helped. Us 70-year-old men are teaching her everything we know. Laugh out loud.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I'm learning more about the court from these 70-year-old guys than I ever did before.
So it's funny. You played a 70-year-old guys today. Right before the podcast, I played against some 70-year-old guys too. And I feel like you can learn a lot from these 70-year-old dudes. They can kind of school you a little bit if you're not careful.
Absolutely. I mean, their lessons, they'll teach you whether you want them or not. Some might give you nightmares, and
I love it. Great comments and questions on social media, guys. Thank you so much for doing that here. But we want to move on to something else as part of our discussion with Major League Pickleball. I'll just say you crushed it. You performed out of your freaking mind, and rightfully so. You were made season 1 MVP. And before we kind of unpack that with you, I want to play a video. And this is the video of you kind of, well, I'm just going to play. I'm not going to say anything more. Let's just play the video.
We have a special award tonight. We had an online voting for the MVP of the league. This individual embodies the spirit of Major League Pickleball and our tagline, which is love the league, live the sport. I think you saw it on the court. There is no one that lives the sport like Lee Whitwell. Lee, please come on out. We want to give you a special award. We are so MVP, 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 MVP. Lee embodies the sport. She was drafted at the bottom, played at the top, and carried the spirit of competitiveness, collaboration, and joy that Major League Pickleball is about. Thank you so much for all you do for the sport, and congratulations today. Thank you. All right, back to you, Jenny.
Thank you, Lee.
What was that like?
A complete honor and surprise and shock. And I think my mom said she'd never seen me so quiet before. And receiving that award, but it was very humbling, and I was very touched and honored and moved to have the MVP because, at the end of the day, I had a blast, and I hope it showed. And nothing that I was doing in anything that, in any match that I was doing, I was expecting an award for anything. I was just giving it my all, and to be recognized for that is truly priceless.
That was cool. I mean, obviously that was probably an emotional moment for you. I know people watching, they could tell. And you want to know how I could tell that you were kind of blown away and taking that all in? Is because you didn't have any sort of like witty comeback or anything. It's rare that I've seen you have a loss for words, and you literally were just taking all of that in, and you could just tell how appreciative and grateful you were for being honored with the MVP award.
Absolutely. I mean, let's face it. I'm competing with the best of the best, and out there with names everybody's heard of multiple times, week in, week out. And to be recognized as the MVP, well, that's just absolutely priceless, humbling, mind-blowing. Every emotion kind of went through my body in a nanosecond. And I'm like, oh, I've got to go up there. And yeah, I don't know what to say, so I'm just going to say thank you.
Yeah, well, you did. But it was also great because you could tell the genuine feel from everybody that was there on the court. Every single one of them there, you could tell they were like, yeah, she deserved it. She crushed it. That must have been pretty cool to see your fellow pickleball players and, and opponents too, just there recognizing you.
Oh, it was phenomenal. And it was very validating for me as a player.
Did you know it was coming before it happened?
The people had been talking about it. Deckel had said he'd voted for me because, he's saying you're forever known as the greatest pickleball player in the world, because I passed him. And Pat Smith I voted for you. Vivian David, who's a dear friend of mine and a great doubles partner, I love playing with her. She voted for me, and Rob Cassidy, and they were all talking to me and telling me, and I'm like, yeah, that's great, but I mean, that's 5 people that told me, and for it to actually come true, and I didn't know there was an online poll, and then my mom's like, what is this MVP thing? What are they talking about? And so I sent her the link, and yeah, it was phenomenal. And I'm truly thankful for everybody that voted for me, those who I know, those who I don't know. It's thank you. It means the world. And I'm glad that I was able to, impact you in pickleball in such a way that you felt compelled to vote.
That's cool. I mean, yeah, the fact that the public kind of chose it too probably means even more. And I have a comment here from the one and only Dominic Catalano, and I think he's going to sum up everything that we're all thinking right now into one very articulate statement. And he says, Lee Whitwell, so hot right now.
Yes, he actually filmed a video of me this weekend with that statement, and he's playing on the whole Zoolander modeling thing.
I love it.
Yes, that video I was told was not going to see the light of day, and it was posted today.
Well, I'll have to go.
So there you go.
Everybody go out there and check it out.
Yeah, follow Dom Catalano and find that video and have a laugh.
I love it. So, we've talked a lot about, recent stuff with you, but you've been in the pickleball world for a little while, and I kind of want to dig into that a little bit. But you're actually not, if the accent doesn't give it away, you're not from America. Can you talk about, where you're from and when you kind of came to the States and things like that?
So I came to the States in the late 1900s, not on a ship.
That sounds funny.
That's sad. That's sad that we can say that now, isn't it?
It is sad that yep.
Yeah, I came
I
to
feel old
college.
all of a sudden. Thank you.
Sorry, I've been feeling that way forever. Yeah, I came to college in the late 1900s and, played tennis and volleyball in college and carried on playing tennis and got involved in tennis and was running resorts and facilities doing, important things, and then moved to Oregon and discovered the sport of pickleball purely by accident. And I've got to give my good friend Lisa Palcic a shout out here, because she did ask me to play in a tournament one time when I first moved to Oregon. And I said, no, I'm not playing in a tournament. She's like, please play. And I'm like, no, I'm not playing something my grandma could play. That's just stupid. Why would I do that? I play tennis. This is pickleball. It's plastic. Why would I do that? And she's like, I'll buy you a case of beer. And I said, fine, I'm in. and honestly, it was that simple. And I'd never played a pickleball tournament before. She didn't explain the rules. She wrote rental on a paddle that I was borrowing, and I had a blast, and the rest is history. Honestly, it's from being a tennis purist to a pickleball addict. The transition was that easy, and I've just had a blast on this journey and met the most incredible people. And I honestly think pickleball is the one sport that's truly broken all barriers as far as multiple levels can play with each other. Families can have a blast, guys, girls, grandma, grandpa, old, young, doesn't matter who's playing. You can all go out there and have fun. And I'm hard pressed to find another sport that provides that level of fun, sociability, and competitiveness. So I'm thankful to be a part of this. I'm thankful to make a small difference in helping grow the sport. And I'm excited to see where this is going.
That's cool. So what year was it that you first went out on a pickleball court?
Oh, I think it was 4 years ago.
Okay.
So 2017. Sorry, okay. I'm really bad at maths.
So
it's Monday night.
Monday night, a couple Cayman jacks in. It happens. It happens to
simple
the best
math.
of us.
Simple maths eludes me at this point.
Well, all right. So 4 years from picking up a pickleball paddle to MVP of Major League Pickleball. I always talk to people because obviously Webby and I, we try and work on our game. We do want to get better. I have goals in the game, but ultimately it's just, I want to be able to show up on the court and play with anybody and hold my own and make it a fun experience for them. So if you and I went on the court, my goal would be to where it wouldn't be like you felt like you just had to play down and reset every ball. That's honestly my goal. What do you think is like the 2 or 3 things in your pickleball journey that have helped you get to this level that you're at right now?
Honestly, one of the first ones is the same goal as yours. Is I want to have fun and I want to get my partner involved in the point, and I want to get them playing with me as a team. In doubles, I want to be 2 people working together to a common goal versus 2 individuals playing doubles. That tends to not be as synergistic as the other one. And it's mainly, during COVID, before COVID, I thought I could hit the ball through anybody because, as from tennis, you can hit the ball hard and the better people you play, they're like, yeah, I can see that ball coming, and it's a plastic ball with holes, so I'm going to block it. And you can't play that attacking game from all over the court. You've got to pick and choose your targets. So it was a matter of understanding that and going to the drawing board and really working on that and understanding, like, okay, my goal as a builder, as a resetter, if the ball is there to attack, I'm going to attack it. But for the most part, I'm a builder, I'm a resetter. How can I involve my partner in the point? My goal is always to try to set my partner up. And the more I can do that, the more successful we'll be. If I don't do that well, then it doesn't necessarily, things don't go as we hoped, and we've got to dig a little deeper. But the goal is always to, how can I bring my partner into the point versus I just have to stay in this point. That's a lot of pressure. But if I'm constantly thinking, if you and I are playing together, I'm thinking, how can I bring you in this point? That becomes more tactical, more offensive, more of a positive thought process than, oh my God, I got to survive this point. I hope I survive. I hope I survive. I hope I survive. I hope they miss. It's never that. You never want to go into that negative mindset. The more of the positive mindset you can take is the better you are going to be at constructing a point.
That's great advice. I love it. Definitely something I'll, keep in mind as I'm practicing and in my journey. I definitely want to look at it that way. Because I think that's good, because I do think a lot of people go out there to not lose, or they go out there to, like you said, to not necessarily work with their partner, but have their partner there so that way they can be the shining force. But you talked about how you see your goal as kind of the setter, giving your partner the opportunity. How did you get to that point? How did you decide, like, this is my role, this is what I'm comfortable with, this is what I'm good at? Talk to me about that.
Honestly, it was just this whole mindset transition from the tennis court to the pickleball court, because I used to hit the same shots on the tennis court, those sharp angles, which was a dink in pickleball, but in tennis was a put away shot. It was that sharp angle volley inside, 2-3 inches from the net that your opponents can't get to. In pickleball, that shot's not a winner. It's a setup shot. It's something to work the point. So it was that whole mindset of, okay, that's not a winner, but I know how to hit that shot. I've hit it my whole career in tennis. So let's figure out how to shift that gear into thinking winner to building and playing pickleball more like a chess game. I'm doing A to do B to do C, and everything is involved about, I have somebody on the court with me. I have to bring them into the point. 2 people picking on one person is way more of a pressure situation than 1v1. And I never want my opponents picking on me. 2v1, that's a lot of pressure. So if I can constantly bring my partner into the point, then now we're in a situation to do some damage. So that was sort of the mindset shift. And yes, whether in tennis it was, oh, I hit that short angle and it's a winner and we're done. In pickleball, now I'm hitting, 10, 15 shots to work the point. And it's an adjustment, but it's fun. It's, it's sort of getting a jigsaw puzzle and trying to put all the pieces together and going, oh, we cracked it. Let's go.
And like building a point too. I think that's one of the things that I've had to learn is usually the winning shot is not how you won the point. It's usually 2 to 3 things that happened before that led to that ability to put yourself in the offensive position. Is that a fair thing to say?
Absolutely. One of the things when I'm teaching, I always teach my students, I'm like, there's no such thing as a winner in pickleball. Everything's a setup shot. Think of constantly trying to set up. The winner ends up presenting itself. But if you think winner, you go to a different place in your brain, and you try to go for that ESPN highlight moment, which, let's face it, on the pickleball court, it's a small court. You got 2 people in front of you. It's hard to pass. Where in tennis, you can hit passing shots. In singles pickleball, maybe you can hit some passing shots. But in doubles pickleball, it's really hard to hit passing shots. So you got to really build them, pull people wide, bring them back to the middle, pull them wide again, and almost be this like puppet master, controlling this show. And if the 2 of you are doing that together, then you're doing a lot of damage. So yes, it's always this, whatever shot was the winning shot, it probably happened 4 or 5 shots earlier, like you said.
Yeah. I like to go back and watch old footage and try and break it down. It's like, all right, where did our opponents become on the offensive and really set us up and kind of move us around versus when did we do it to them, or how did we get ourselves out of that and kind of play that chess match here? And I have a comment here from Dominic Catalano. It says, reset, Ernie. Sounds like that might be your style.
He's decided that is my playing pattern. I'll reset, Ernie. Reset, Ernie. And he's like, if people don't figure that out, they're stupid. Those are his words yesterday. He said that to me. So I'm just quoting him. But no, it is. It's reset. And there's something, I think, psychologically a little bit damaging to somebody when they tee off on you and you just reset that ball very nonchalantly. And you're like, yeah, I took all your effort and just gave you a very unattackable ball.
Yeah.
So I tend to use that a little bit to my advantage because I like resetting the ball. I know I am not, if I were playing against Anna Lee, for example, I am not going to get into a hands battle with her. She will out reflex and outmaneuver me in a heartbeat. So the minute she speeds up the ball, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Great. I'm glad you did that, but I'm just going to reset the ball. Mm-hmm. And let's get the point back again. And let me see if I can get us into a tactical offensive position that my partner can do something, or maybe I can do something. But going into a hands battle, I like to think I have fast hands, but when I'm playing people who are 20, in Annalee's case, 30 years younger than me plus, where, their reflexes are faster, they hit the ball harder. I'm very aware of that. So I've had to adapt my style to what's coming my way and figure out how to be offensive within my capabilities and functioning within that as best as I can.
That's great. I mean, that's such a good strategy, especially I find myself when I go to rec play, it's everybody's going for winner, 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 winner. And my goal is just to stay in the point as long as I can and try to use that concept against them and just be like, all right, I'll sit here and I'll reset this ball all day long and wait for you to screw up. If that's how you want to play, great. Let's keep that going here and balancing that with knowing when to be offensive and knowing when that put away has presented itself. That's tough. It's a tough thing. And I do think that that's kind of the breakthrough that has to happen to work your way up from that, 4-0 to 4-5 to 5-0 to even beyond level. It's kind of learning that balance, which it seems like, you have that mastered. I always enjoy watching, your style because it's very much like, hey, whatever you throw at me, I have no problem just taking that ball and bouncing it at your feet in the kitchen. And we'll do it all day if you want. It's so cool. It's like this level of patience that very rarely do I find myself having.
Oh, it's definitely learned. But it's that whole concept of, I just want to make you hit one more ball. Mm-hmm. And if I can make you hit one more ball, I'm in that point. I'm surviving in that point. And if I can tactically now get the advantage, now, the momentum shift and we're back in and let's go.
I love it. We have another comment here from Rob Cassidy, who said, Spartan Lee. And then also follow that up with, as one.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about that. What's that all about?
So Rob Cassidy gave me the best advice I've ever received. And I think it was right before SoCal, honestly. When I was resetting, and he's like, listen, a lot of times, you'll reset the first, you'll reset the second, and on the third one, you lean back a little bit. And the minute you lean back, your ball's popping up. So you're giving the offense away. And he's like, think of a Spartan warrior with a shield. They will stand in and lean forward with their shield. They're defending themselves, but they're defending themselves offensively. He's like, when you're blocking, when you're resetting, when you're countering, you've got to be in that mode. And for some reason, that resonated with me. It clicked, and I took that home and started working on that. And, yes, the results are favorable, and he's definitely spot on. No one, in the Roman days with the shield was ever defending backwards, up here. They're gonna die. They that sword is going straight into their belly. So it's more that lean forward mode, and that's what he was trying to impress upon me. So every time we see each other, we have this Spartan high five that is special between him and I, and I'm so thankful for him for pointing that out to me and taking the time to really explain it to me and wanting to help take that game to the next level.
He's kind of a good guy.
Yeah, we kind of like him. We want to keep him around.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right.
He's my homie now. He lives down here. He travels a lot, but I still haven't seen him yet. He's been down here for a couple months, so hopefully soon. Rob.
Yeah,
we're
we'll
gonna
have to.
hang out.
Yeah, we'll have to have some Rob Cassidy sightings in Naples.
Yes, for sure. We have another good question here from Rich Rollins. I hope I'm saying that right. And Rich says, growing up on top of the world in the Mediterranean, Gibraltar, what made you decide to come to USA from Mr. Cass?
So Rich is married to Cassandra Rollins, and when I first met him, I knew his wife first. So when he walked on the court, I'm like, "Oh, hi, Mr. Cass, how are you doing?" Because I didn't know Cass's last name at the time, so he became Mr. Cass. I didn't know his name, so Mr. Cass, so now he's known as Mr. Cass or security detail, because I do feel like he embodies a bodyguard, and I feel like I need to pay him to come to tournaments with me now, because hey, no, it's one of those things. I was in school and I had the option of going to England to do to further my studies at university, or I got the option of coming to the States and playing college tennis and volleyball by the beach in sunny weather. So I ditched rainy England for the United States. It was that simple.
Okay. Where did you go to school at?
I went to Francis Marion University. It was a D2 school in South Carolina. It was part of the USC branch, and played there in Florence, South Carolina, and had a very interesting education in the Southern accent, Southern cooking, and Southern living.
What was the biggest thing that shocked you when you first kind of came over here?
There's a lot. The accent, for one. A lot of times I couldn't understand a word they said. They could understand me, and it was just this,
a lot of nodding.
Exercise it. That's just mudding. It's I could go into it. I'm not sure any of this is PG-13, so I'll refrain. But I do have a few stories for when we're off air. I'll share with you.
Okay, I like it. Okay, that's cool. So you've lived South Carolina, Oregon, Florida. Have you lived any other areas in America?
Yeah, so from South Carolina, after I played tennis, I ended up, my last tournament was in San Diego. So I lived there for 15 years, and then we moved to Oregon. And then from Oregon, we moved to Florida a couple of months ago.
So you've been all over the place here. What was it like in San Diego?
It was a lot of fun. It was fulfilling from a career standpoint. I had the unique opportunity to run facilities and resorts and tennis, fitness, spa. But I got to the point where I'm lazy and I don't like to sit in traffic for an hour or more a day. And traffic was getting really bad, and we decided, hey, let's just. I did, and career-wise, I'd done everything I could do there, so it was time for a change. And hey, why not Bend, Oregon? So we moved to Bend, Oregon, and had the fortunate experience of being a director of tennis at the athletic club, and then being the director of pickleball at Woodgie Creek, and being involved in the construction and the design and the soup to nuts integration of that dedicated indoor facility, and being a director of pickleball as well, and growing pickleball from the ground up, and doing all of that. So it was very, very fulfilling. And after 7 years there, it was like, it's time for a change. And Florida is a much easier hop, skip, and a jump to Europe to see my folks. So it just all made sense. How
often do you get back to Europe?
Not as often as I'd like right now. Traveling internationally is a little problematic these days with COVID and whatnot. And hopefully as time goes on, those restrictions ease. But because definitely, England from Florida is a 7-hour flight away, and then Gibraltar's 2 hours from there. So, it's conceivably, I could meet my parents in London for a weekend, and I can't wait for that to happen. I'm looking forward to that day.
Yeah, I didn't think about it. 7 hours. That's not too bad. It's what, 4 hours to Vegas from here. It's 4.5 to Los Angeles. So it's not like it's that much further, considering the fact that you typically need a travel day anyway when you go to places that are on the West Coast from here. So yeah, I guess I didn't really think about that. It's not that bad of a flight.
No, and it's typically an overnight flight. Yeah. So you're just going to sleep anyway. So, a couple of your high noons and take a nap, and you wake up in London.
Well, I moved on. Now I'm on to High Five from Fort Myers Brewing Company, but it's a green
Yeah.
can and I have a green screen going, so you can kind of see through it, which is funny.
There you go. So like a high
Yeah.
five and a high noon, and you wake up in London.
That's right. I love it. That's fantastic. So you have been playing for a few years. You've had some success. Now you've become MVP of Major League Pickleball. What's next? Like what does the next year look like for you?
Crazy. Hopefully I get redrafted for Major League next year. I think they're planning on hosting 2 Major League events in 2 different cities, one being Dreamland. I'm not sure where the other one is. And so, fingers crossed I get redrafted and maybe my draft pick gets a little higher. I hopefully my stock went up a little bit. And then just playing in some tournaments. I'm running some tournaments for Ken for the APP, especially with the next gen. I really want to get involved in mentoring that next generation of pickleball players and helping them move through. I feel like we're an exciting time of where pickleball is at. The next 3 to 5 years we're really gonna see a big change in the world of pickleball, and I'm excited to be a part of it. I've got my regular tournament schedule with I've got some fun partners. I'm playing with JW Johnson, AJ, playing with Thomas Wilson in mixed doubles, and then with Vivian David, who I absolutely love and adore. We have the best time on the court when we're out there. We just laugh and have a good time, and I think that probably makes our opponents mad because we're just smiling and laughing and cracking jokes. But I'm also playing with JW's younger sister, Georgia Johnson, who I'm excited to have her burst on the scene because her talent is incredible and she has so much upswing, and I'm excited to see where her game can go, and being lucky enough to mentor her and help guide that process is, from my standpoint, is phenomenal because, I've got 2 years till I get to play seniors, and I want to be able to mentor these young kids and play with them and shape their future a little bit. And if I can have a hand in that, then that's phenomenal.
That's really cool. I'm glad to know that senior starts at 30. So
yes,
yep, that's good to know. I should have been playing seniors this whole time then. So
I mean, I feel like we should be playing next year.
It's right, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we should just go on the senior tour and just take it by storm. It's sponsored by Depends, and let's have a fun.
Yes. Well, we already got Highland's leg cramps, so Depends will just fit right in there.
Right.
So completely derailed where I was going with this. Let's talk about next gen a little bit. So I've heard a little bit about it, but I don't know how much information is out there yet or what you can talk about. But what is it all about?
So next gen is the 16 to 23-year-olds. So anybody who falls in the 16 to 23-year-old age range is eligible to play in this. As a $5,000 prize money pool and some wild cards into the bigger tournaments on the APP side. And if you're under 16, you can write a letter explaining why you deserve a wild card. So, for example, Georgia Johnson got a wild card. She's 14, and was able to get a wild card. She wrote a letter explaining why she wants to be a part of pickleball and next gen, and they awarded her a wild card. There are a couple of others that got wild cards awarded, and I think it's a really cool thing for this younger age group where they can, figure out. And the cool thing about next gen too is they're bringing in 2 senior pros, and for the first one, they're bringing in John Sperling and Julie Johnson as mentors for these kids. My mother would be chastising me, saying they're not kids, they're children, because kids are baby goats.
Baby goats,
so,
right?
Sorry, yeah. Sorry, Mom. I apologize. You raised me better. Then Julie's doing some talks on conditioning and nutrition, and I think I'm doing an interview series with them on how to interview correctly and how to present yourself properly in front of the camera, how to talk to people and whatnot. So we're doing this whole complete package for this next generation of pickleball before they transition into the pros, so that they are educated in the world of professional pickleball. And granted, we do have a few players playing this tournament that already are playing professional and are doing very well, like Dylan Fraser, DJ Young, JW Johnson, who, we all know who he is and we admire his game. But we're able to hopefully help shape and form this next generation. And, by the time they enter the world of professional pickleball, they know exactly what's going on.
That's so cool. I'm excited for that. I've actually gotten a chance to meet a lot of the juniors I've gotten my butt kicked by quite a few of them. I'm excited to see what they can do. You talked about doing a session on like interviewing and interpersonal communication, which obviously, Lee, you're a pro at. Is there any chance you could do that with maybe some of the other pros that are above the age of 23? Because there's a few out there that could use a little bit of that polished way of communicating while being interviewed and things like that.
Right. I thought maybe, we could, I could put my hand up their back and pretend I'm a ventriloquist and just speak for them. I feel like there's a whole market there that we could just maybe take to Vegas and, hey, have a spin-off of the inner workings of pickleball. But no, I mean, it's one of those things where at the end of the day, you've got to speak intelligently, you've got to speak eloquently, and you've got to engage who you're talking to. And I wish more people understood that concept and kind of got outside of themselves a little bit more, because it's okay to act like a fool. It's okay to look stupid, because own it, because you're humble, you're you, and it makes you you and unique.
Yeah, there's nothing more admirable to me than people that use self-deprecating humor to get through certain things and use that as almost a weapon to diffuse situations and make things less serious and more engaging. Which obviously you are the queen of, and there's a lot of other people out there, but there are quite a few pros that I would say it's like, man, you could really use a little polishing when it comes to that kind of stuff. Or are you intending to come across like an egomaniac? Because you certainly are.
Right. And I think sometimes it's shyness, insecurity.
Yeah.
More often than I'm bigger than the sport, right? I sometimes don't think it's their egos are too big. I think sometimes it's more insecurity, shyness.
Yeah.
That's coming through. And unfortunately it comes across as ego.
Yeah.
So, hopefully they're listening. Hopefully if you know who you are, fix it.
Yeah. Do better.
In 3 seconds, we'll name drop. No, I'm kidding.
No, we won't.
No, we won't.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is I feel like, 5 years ago, a lot of these top pros, they just saw themselves as top pro pickleball players. And now they're starting to realize that they're celebrities, whether they like it or not. They're people that people admire and look up to and have posters of and inspire to be. And so I think that that's important to be able to represent yourself properly out there. So I love the fact that you're doing that. And I wouldn't have picked anyone else to teach those youngsters how to do that besides you.
Oh, well, thank you. Your check is in the mail, and
Yes.
It's blank, so fill it out.
All right, I'm rich. Here we go. all that Major League Pickleball MVP money going to start coming over this way, huh?
Right. No, I had to pay it all in cuss fines. Nice try.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I owed them money after this.
Next time, control all the cursing there,
Yeah.
Lee. Jeez.
Next time, put a 7-second delay on me.
That's true. I can't believe they didn't have a dump button. You can't have Lee Whitwell on a mic and not have a dump button. I have a dump button right now just for that exact reason.
Exactly. See, you know your audience.
I do research.
Yes.
Oh man. So what? So you talked a lot about what's going on with you. This is kind of just a philosophical question, but what do you think it's going to take to get pickleball to the next level, the level that we all want it to be at, where it's recognized, it's respected, it's known, it's viewed? How do we get there?
I think Major League Pickleball was a good first step. There's a couple of things that we need to do better, but I think building on that will help get pickleball to that next level. I mean, you can just look at how many dedicated facilities are popping up all over the country. I mean, you can look online. Every which way you turn, it seems that some cities, like, we're putting in 20 dedicated courts, we're putting in 40 dedicated courts, we're doing this, we're doing that. I'm involved with the pickleball club in out of Florida, that their goal is to do 15 indoor facilities in the next 5 years. Pickleball is growing in a legitimate way. So it's just a matter of time. We're hoping to be an exhibition sport in the 2028 Olympics. And I think that will be a phenomenal next step for us. I also think, I wish there was a college conference out there that would say, hey, in 2026, we're offering pickleball scholarships, and pickleball is a scholarship sport for women and men. whether it's NAIA, whether it's junior college, D2, D3, D1, it doesn't matter. It's like, let's get that pathway, because the minute you have the pathway to college, I feel like high school fills in, middle school fills in, and now you've filled that 15 to 40 demographic where we're lacking, and it's and I was, talking to Julie Johnson, who's JW's mom, who's like a phenomenal senior pro. And, she commented that JW had a phenomenal tennis career as a junior. And a lot of the people he played tennis with are, trying to try it on the pro tennis circuit and all this. And it's like, well, right now you're one of thousands of kids the same age vying for one or two spots and hoping to get lucky. And pickleball, pro pickleball, has this very little barrier to entry right now. So it's a very easy sport to make a living. And they're seeing JW making a living in pickleball. So now, I feel like we're going to see a lot of these tennis kids transitioning from tennis into pickleball going, hang on a minute. If JW is doing it, maybe I can do it. What is it going to take for me to do it? And I think that's going to help change and grow the sport even further. Because the minute we can put in, your 16-year-old all the way up to age 40, where it's probably the least represented demographic right now, then now you've got everybody from kids to 95 playing pickleball, and it's just gonna accelerate from there. So every event's going to be phenomenal. The more Major League Pickleball does, if we can get into the Olympics, it's phenomenal. If we can get into colleges, it's going to be great. So I think all that we're right beneath that surface, and everything is bubbling right there. And I think we're going to, in the next 3 to 5 years, see this crazy explosive growth of pickleball. And we're going to, hopefully in like 3 to 5 years, we're going to be chatting going, remember that conversation we had about where pickleball is going? Right. Holy moly, look where it's at now.
Well, I bet you if you rewound the clock before you and I even entered the sport, I'm sure people would look at it now and be like, God, we didn't expect for it to get here. So do you think that the next Ben Johns, the next Simone, the next Lee Whitwell, they're out there and haven't even discovered pickleball yet, and we're just waiting for it to make their way over there? Or do you think that it's going to be potentially some of the juniors that we have playing right now? Where do you think that's going to come from?
I think it's going to be a combination of both, right? I think you've got some juniors coming in now that are gonna really knock down some doors and say, hey, I'm here, take me seriously. I may, look at Annalie, she's 14 and destroying everybody. Yeah. There are other 14-year-olds out there that are coming through that are going to do the same thing. Added to that, you're going to have some other people transitioning from different sports coming into pickleball. So I do think we're going to see existing juniors who are coming through and also new players who are new to pickleball. Like, for example, Thomas Wilson recently exploded on the scene. Heavy tennis background. AJ's cousin. AJ decided to, got him into pickleball. They started playing doubles. All of a sudden, everyone's like, who is this Thomas Wilson? Right. He's a riot, And then at the PPA in La Quinta, he went on a really good run in singles and did some damage and beat a lot of the top players. So there is that coming on, and he's fairly young, and so we're seeing that happen. So we're seeing that transition at the older end of the young players, and we're going to see it at the younger end too, I think.
I love it. I can't wait to see what it's going to be like. And the more and more we get juniors involved, I feel like, a lot of them aren't coming to the sport with maybe some bad habits. And I'm going to pick on tennis, but I don't mean to. But a lot of tennis players, if they show up in the pickleball court, they typically have some bad habits to start off with. And that's just from years and years of tennis. Well, maybe some of these players develop their stroke mechanics, their court awareness, their agility from a sport like tennis, but haven't had those years in there to create some of the bad habits, to where maybe that transition at 16 years old is going to be what it takes to just make them find the next thing with the sport. I mean, if you watch videos from the U.S. Open, the original U.S. Open till last year's, very different game, and it's much faster now. It's much more, it's much less just dink, 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 dink until somebody pops the ball up. There's a lot more strategy. There's a lot more movement going on. Who knows what it's going to be like in a few years?
Oh, 100%. I think it's, especially like with tennis players, I think the more tennis players come into pickleball and embrace the fact that pickleball is different, not focus on the fact how similar it is and why can't I do these things because it's so similar, but embrace the differences it's going to grow. But if you look at for example, any reality show on TV, versus singing or dance, if you look at season 1 to season 10 or season 15, it's the people on season 1 would never have made it even past the qualifyings on season 10. It's a matter of they were in that sport at the right time, at the right moment for them.
Yeah. I can't wait to see where it goes. I'm super excited. I can't wait to see what you can do with this next gen stuff. I love the juniors, and I think it's so cool what they're doing here too. So, Lee, it's been awesome having you on, but I want to ask you some interesting questions here before we close up here. What is the worst experience you've ever had during a match in pickleball? Can you think of a story or anything?
Oh, absolutely. I have thousands of them. Or maybe not thousands. Aside from my incident with Deckel. No. One of the worst experiences is playing with somebody you've never played with before. And, nobody ever wants to let your partner down. Right? I never go on the court going, yeah, I meant to miss that shot. Absolutely. I that's my goal, is to piss you off. I just wanted to miss that shot. I've had partners go, why'd you do that? I'm like, well, I didn't mean to, and you honestly think, you asking me why I did that and why, it's that my next shot is not going to go so well, and it's, and it does a lot to your confidence. So I think, I think that's one of probably the worst experiences. I've had some funny experiences and unique situations, but the worst experience definitely is somebody looking at you going, why'd you do that? Like, I can't, you have to get the ball over the net. And nobody playing doubles ever wants to miss that shot. Like, no one's doing it intentionally. I know I got to get it over the net. I didn't mean to miss it, and it just puts that pressure on you, and it just puts that, and then all of a sudden it's like this next shot, you want it to be so perfect that you become this crippled version of yourself because you're feeling this pressure from your partner. You're feeling their disappointment. It's never going to go well. So for me, that is honestly one of the worst situations I can ever be in. And I think that I speak for most people. We've all played with somebody who's just looked at you, roll their eyes or sighed, or, their body language. And you're like, well, yeah, exactly. You're like, oh my God, what was that? It's like, well, a mistake. Yeah. Not intentional. It was just a mistake. Can we move past this? The score is 0-1-2. Like, this is not, I'm pretty sure we can move on from this.
Yeah.
But that to me is probably one of the worst things. And I see it in rec play all the time, when you have these self-proclaimed coaches on the court that want to coach their partner all the time and tell them what they're doing wrong. And it's not fun. And I think the more we can understand that no one out there is trying to let anybody down, we're all trying to do our best, and putting me down is not going to help anything, yeah.
Oh, that's very well said. What do you, so I'm sure you've been in the situation though, where you're in a tournament or even a rec play and your partner is hitting some shots and you're getting frustrated. What do you do at that moment? Do you try and cheer them up? Do you let them work it out? Do you do hey, we got this, man. Like, don't worry about it. It's all good. Like, what's your strategy?
I'm a big proponent of any time I step in the court and there's two of us on there, it's never you, it's never me, it's we. Mm-hmm. So whatever communication I use, it's a we thing. Hey, we got this, or, we can do this, or, hey, how about if we did this, or if we did that, or, whatever it is. But so long as it's a we thing, you're not putting the pressure on your partner. And, the minute I'm like, hey, Eddie, you need to do this. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not going to make you feel good. I'm like, hey, how about we do this? Let's try this. Or, it becomes a we. It's okay. Because at the end of the day, I have to know you're trying your best. You have to know I'm trying my best, and we're a team, and I always go by the moniker, win or lose, we drink beer. Yeah. It's that's how we've got to look at it. And we're going to have fun. There you go.
I love it.
And we're going to have fun regardless. And the more fun we're having, the chips fall in our favor. The less fun we're having, it's probably not going to go well for us. And one of us is trying to get off the court quicker than the other when we're not having fun. So the more you can make it a we thing and make it hard, it's like everyone has a bad day. There are days I can't find a third shot drop to save my life. I'm like, yeah.
I find that hard to believe, but.
No, but it's like sometimes you're like, yeah, I meant that ball to bounce in my kitchen before I passed the net. Of course I did, And it is what it is. There are some days that things don't go your way. You're trying your hardest, and together, can we overcome them? Can we hide certain things? Absolutely. but it's got to be a we thing, and that conversation has to be we, never you, never I, nothing like that. It's definitely the plural.
I love it. I think I'm going to try and implement that now going forward, is using the we as like, hey, why don't we try this? In one story real quick, I remember this is when I was fairly early on in pickleball, and I ended up on the court with some like 5-0 level players, and I was playing with Matt Nielsen, and I had missed 2 drop shots in a row, and Matt looked at me and he said, hey, why don't we give you all of the opportunities for third shots going forward? That way you can practice them more. And if you screw up, don't worry about it. And I remember just looking at him like, your level of play is here, way above me. And I guarantee any drop shot you do from your backhand, forehand, wherever is going to be better. But he wanted to take the time to be like, hey, why don't we let you take all of them? That way you have an opportunity to work on them. And immediately it changed my whole frame of reference. I wasn't intimidated to play with him anymore. My drops started to make it in. We started to have a lot more fun. And I feel like that way of looking at it can be so much more powerful and impactful in the mental state of players. And to be honest with you, I wish everybody that I played with had the same mentality that you do, because that's awesome. That to me makes it a true partnership.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, how many times have you played with somebody when you hit in the third shot, they just run straight to the kitchen?
Yeah, and get blasted.
You know,
Yeah.
and you know, I'll look at my partner and be like, that's a lot of pressure on me.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure for me to hit this perfect third. You know, how about I hit a third? If it's great, we can move in.
Right.
If it's not so great, let's hang back. We can still move in on the 5th shot or the 7th shot or the 9th shot. You know, we have time. We just want to make sure when we get to that line, we've neutralized the point and we can start to gain some kind of tactical offense. You know, it's like, but so many people are like, oh, you're hitting the third. Well, I'm going to charge in.
Right.
I'm like, oh, well, how's this going to go?
Right.
You know, so when you explain it in the way of like, hey, that's a lot of pressure on me. I don't want to let you down. And hey, how about we do this and whatnot? Then it becomes a conversation versus, you know, the other thing. And like what Matt said to you is phenomenal. It's like his goal there was to build your confidence.
Yep.
And that's all we want to do as partners is if I can build your confidence up and you can build mine up, well, then we're unstoppable.
I love it. I think that's some of the best advice that I've heard on our podcast was that right there. I love it so
Awesome.
much.
Thanks for the cliff notes. I just read them.
What do the next cliff notes say? What do you have on there?
I don't know. The next ones are in cursive. I can't read your writing.
I thought you were going to say you spilled your Cayman Jack on it and you can't.
No. You just wrote in cursive the last one. I'm going to say cursive, not drunk writing.
Cursive. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
My handwriting is god awful anyway. So, oh man, Lee, I got to tell you, this has been an absolute blast. You're one of the most fun, genuine people that I've met in the pickleball world. I always look forward to running into you. I hope we can be more intentional about it in the future because you're a blast. And I think you were always a superstar. I think there was something about Major League Pickleball that I don't know if it was the opportunity or the energy or what, but it's like if everybody can go back in their life and they can look at these little moments that led them to where they are today, I feel like in 10, 15 years from now, you're going to look back at Major League Pickleball and you're going to say, that was one of those moments. And I cannot wait to see what the next couple years look like for you.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, you're right. Major League I think it was a whole team event, the environment, the atmosphere, everything leading up to it. You know, I managed to hold it together for 4 days, but I also want to thank you and Webby. You've always given me so much love, and you've always had the most respect for my game and believed in me and spoke highly of me, which I really appreciate. Because you know, I'm going to be honest, you guys are one of the few people who've publicly acknowledged my talent out there, and I appreciate that so much. So you know, you having me on here today means the world to me.
Well, we're happy to. You're awesome. You're one of our favorites. We definitely appreciate it. Is there any parting words or do you want to share how people can kind of follow you on your journey over the next couple of years? Anything like that?
Absolutely. I mean, you can look me up on Facebook on Lee Whitwell Pickleball, same on YouTube, and you'll find me at Beer City with Eddie and Webby, and we do have a show planned for you, and they may or may not be handcuffs involved.
I love it. I do have a bone to pick with you over Beer City Open this past year, real quick, before I let you go.
Okay.
It was so you were refereeing the match with me and Webby against Jay DeVilliers, who was playing left-handed, and apparently there were some changes to the USA Pickleball rule book that I didn't know about, where offsides is a new rule. Can you please explain why I had offsides called on me?
Absolutely. As you know, you mentioned earlier, I have a very heavy European background. I was born in Gibraltar in Southern Europe. Jay was born in France, and which is in Europe. Hopefully everybody listening knows
is
that.
It? I didn't know that. I'm glad.
Yeah, it is. He is French.
Yeah.
And, as being from Gibraltar and Jay being from France, we have a heavy soccer background. For us, it's football, but in America, it's soccer. And he did say he would take me out to dinner if I called an offside on you. And I'm still waiting for him to take me to dinner.
You're still waiting for that dinner?
I'm still waiting for that dinner. But he did say, I think they're offside. And I'm like, he's like, you understand what I mean? I'm like, absolutely, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
So it was a soccer reference, just paying homage to our heritage.
Well, we appreciate it. Despite your efforts, Webby and I still did kick his butt, just barely. I think it was 16-14 was the final score. So.
But you know what? It is online and it's memorialized forever, so it's real.
That's right. I love it. Can't wait to see you again. Congratulations again on all your success. We're super grateful for you. I can't wait to watch your journey. I hope that when we ask you in a year from now to come back on the podcast, your head can still fit through the doorway because it's not so blown up with all the stuff you have going on, and you'll still consider us friends. How is that good? Can we call that good?
Absolutely. Anytime someone says, "Are you going to have a drink with me on my show?" I'm in.
I love it. And just for the record, Lee, this was your first podcast. What's the word I'm looking for? That you participated in since Major League Pickleball, right?
Absolutely. And it was honestly, and it was intentional that it was an Eddie and Webby podcast, because you guys have shown me so much respect and love that my first podcast after Major League was always going to be you guys. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Lee. This has been a pleasure. Anything else you wanna leave the world with, the thousands of people tuning in right now?
Nothing I can publicly say, but no, thank you all for tuning. Nothing, no, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed the last hour or so with us, and looking forward to seeing you on the courts, meeting you in person, and always come give me a high five or buy me a beer.
That's it. It's that simple.
It's
Buy
that
her a beer.
simple.
She'll be your best friend for life. Awesome. Lee, thank you again so much. I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Take care.
Oh my God. That was so much fun. Webby, if you're out there and you're listening right now, which I know you said you were, you missed out on an incredible experience to hang out with Lee Whitwell. I got to tell you guys, and I'm not just saying this, she really is one of the most genuine people that you will meet. She has such a great energy to her. I'm a big person about energy, and I believe that the energy you put out there is what you get back. And Lee just puts out so much positive, fun energy. And if you get the opportunity to meet her, she has this way about her that's very inviting, and she approaches life with a sense of humility that is really, it's admirable, and it's encouraging, and she's awesome. And I'm so happy we're able to have her on our podcast, which I say our because I don't know where the heck Webby went. He ran off to get party supplies, and I have no idea where he's at, but that's okay. Guys, this has been podcast number 90, which means there's 90 of you out there still watching right now. And guess what? We appreciate you and we love you. And wait a minute. Webby, are you back yet? What's going on here? Wait, oh, okay.
So you're not going to believe this, but by the time I got to the party supply store, it was already closed, so I came back empty-handed. But I listened to the show. I thought it was a great one. I wish I could have been here for it, but what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? And on that note, I'm Eddie.
And until next time, this is Webby, not Eddie, signing off.
See ya.